Recording has begun. Recording is in progress. This is Andrew Williams, Jr. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Saturday, February the 17th of 2024. It's 8 a.m. here in California, United States of America. And today we have the World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity with a global humanitarian workshop. We have multiple guests, all of whom will be introduced by the founder of the World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity, Dr. Chaplain James Oguntumibi. But before I begin, I am going to initiate a new chapter in our development. I'm going to introduce our sponsor, and our sponsor is the AHIABGA-TV. And the AHIABGA is an acronym for the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, of which Pastor James was one of our charter members. I'm going to ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And when you go to YouTube, it's at AHIABGA-TV Network. You can also join our Facebook page. It's the very same, AHIABGA-TV Network. And you can join our mailing list by going to andrewnetworks.com. We do also have a footprint on a terrestrial platform introduced by Lady Alicia Hamilton, who's also one of our Goodwill ambassadors, and that's at AHIABGA-TV. And the way to find it is very simple. You can subscribe, it's free, at AHIABGA.NWN.TV. Just choose AHIABGA-TV as your primary channel. So, Dr. James, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and we have begun.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Andrew Williams, Jr. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. My name is Chaplain James Oguntumibi. I am the Chief Executive Officer for World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity. And this program is all about empowerment, to empower ourselves when it comes to knowledge, ideas, when it comes to giving ourselves orientations on how to go about humanitarianism and other stuff. And that is why we have it as a workshop. And I want to thank and congratulate all our speakers, our special speakers, special guests that are here today. Dr. Gail Osman, I've not seen you, but I've heard much about you from our regional director from the U.S. Institute for Diplomacy and Human Rights, and that is Simona. I want to say thank you for joining us. She has told me much about you and how influenced you are. And she even told me that I should be ready to learn, that if I'm coming to a program like this where you are speaking, I should have my very new pen and a new jotter. So I have to write more, whatever you have to dish out today. So we are blessed to have you. And we want to thank every participant and speakers that we have invited to, like our dear Ambassador, Simona. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Kari Gulsen. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Tomesha. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, the Chief Chaplain, Peter Smith from Puerto Rico. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us and being part of our blessings. His Excellency Andrew Williams, Jr., you have always been there for us. We want to say thank you. And this is the first workshop of World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity in this year 2024. And that is why this program is so much important to us and to every one of us and others that will be joining us in this program. That is why we have gone to that extent to bring Dr. Jill Austin down to this platform for her to share a wealth of experience. Before we go into all such, I would like to share my screen to tell you more about World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity. So it will help every one of us when you are figuring out what God has put in your mind to teach today or to lecture or to share the experience. It will help you more to tell us more what we can do and how we could really network with other organizations to make a better way out of what we have been doing before now. So permit me to quickly share my screen, but before I do that, I want to officially welcome other participants joining us here. I can see Mr. Carl Rudnick, thank you for joining us. Dr. Adenike, thank you for joining us. I can see Honorable Andrew. I can see other Doctor, His Excellency, and distinguished humanitarian UND Okunora from United Kingdom. Thank you for joining us. There are so many prominent people here, and our country directors, Dr. Emmanuel from Malawi, and others that are joining us from Uganda. Doris, thank you for joining us. Linda, thank you for joining us. And Moses from Kenya. Moses, thank you for joining us. I cannot mention all your names. I know others are still coming to join us. We have prominent and important personalities in this workshop. So we should all be ready to learn from each other, to learn from one another, to learn cultures from other different countries. So thank you for joining us, and may God bless you. Permit me to quickly share my screen to tell you more about WO. Okay. Please, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you so much. This is World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity. And we have our motto as togetherness in humanitarianism. So no matter where you are coming from, no matter where you are joining us from, you are highly welcome because our motto is togetherness in humanitarianism. We believe we cannot do it alone. And that's why we are beckoning on you, calling you into this workshop for us to learn from you and for us to know a better way to go. So you are all welcome to World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity. And this is the background of WO. We got our motivation and inspiration from the Sustainable Development Goals for humanity. So our duty is to localize it. It's not just for paper sake, not for urban sake, but for rural communities and all those rural ethnic groups of whatsoever we have. So our motive is to have the SDGs localized to be able to reach to the unreached in the community. Then we realize humanity is experiencing discrimination, racism, violence, corruption, inequality, hatred, political ignorance, religious intolerance, and things like that. And we have to come in as an organization to play our role to shun discrimination, racism, violence, to promote peace in the community. We also realize youth unemployment, which includes the graduates, and they were then led into vandalism, robbery, illegalism, wandering, immoralities, and things like that. But it is our duty to make sure we do our best to help our youth out of these menace they have found themselves. And also there are a lot of violations of human rights, unlawful detention, breach of contact, and other things like that. That is why we have to set up an organization called World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity, which I believe everyone here would love to participate and become a member of this honorable organization to also add your voice and do your part when it comes to promoting peace and equity. Also, World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity was established as non-profits and non-governmental. WO is a non-governmental, non-profit, non-political, and non-religious organization established to implement the efforts of that government in each countries all over the world, and that of the United Nations. United Nations cannot do it alone. Governments cannot do it alone. So WOP is registered, established to complement and to work in partnership with the government and other strong institutions. WOP is officially registered in Nigeria. We are also registered in the United States. Registration is also going on in other parts of the world, like in Congo, in Rwanda, in Cameroon, and other countries like that. We are making sure that others who are interested to become a member of the organization get this registered in their various countries for effectiveness of these aims and objectives in their various countries. And I know this will interest you more. Our vision. The vision of the organization is to construct a just, fair, and sustainable world in which each person can live in peace, safety, freedom, and be protected from poverty and has rights to development. This is telling us that there is injustice in the world. There's discrimination in the world, but our vision is to construct a just, fair, and sustainable world where we can all and individually live in peace, safety, freedom, and also be protected from poverty. Then we should also have a right to develop it. This is our vision, and our mission says thus: to improve the living conditions for humanity, their social development, fair and sustainable economic growth that respects human dignity, the rule of law, fundamental freedoms, gender equality, and human rights oriented in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and also in the African Union Agenda 2063. We move further to the core value of this organization, WOP. WOP has this as a core value. It is our duty bringing integrity, development, professionalism, and team spirit into humanitarianism. So we are not just acting, working as humanitarians, but we are bringing integrity, development, professionalism, and team spirit into the system, this humanitarian system. And that is why we are having more professionals in the house today to help us build that integrity, development, professionalism into our day-to-day activities, and to also join us, join forces together to make sure we promote that peace we are also agitating for. And when it comes to integrity, it's for us to honestly and rightly discharge our duty wherever we meet ourselves. And when it comes to development, is to sustainably create growth, progress, and positive change economically, socially, and environmentally for human development. It is also our duty as professionals to operate as professionals with quality and good behaviors wherever we are and wherever we meet ourselves. And in terms of team spirit, we build that trust, pride, and loyalty, respect, and optimistic in our daily activities, and to form this formidable team wherever we are, even with our partners, so they can be proud of us, World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity. And in humanitarianism, we actively believe in human values, in the human being. Every individual has his own specialty. So we believe in that, and we utilize that as it is. Now coming to the aims and objectives of this organization, WOP. We have 10 main objectives. And number one is to promote equality and universal peace education through advocacy and public enlightenment. That is, we can be there anywhere in the public to enlighten them on peace, how they should maintain peace, promote peace, and be peaceful in their various communities, organizations, or wherever they find themselves. It is our duty, it is our aims and objective. Also, to promote and advocate for the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that of the United Nations. It is our duty to advocate for it, because there will be no peace if one is violating other people's rights. If we respect other people's rights, then we are promoting peace, because we don't want to infringe into other people's rights. If you respect your rights, that means you are also promoting peace. Then it is our duty and aims and objective to promote, localize, and accelerate the implementation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals through creative catalyst humanitarian projects and initiatives. That is, we come up with different project initiatives to promote the SDGs. It might be the Go For in education, it might be the zero hunger, it might be no poverty. So we bring initiatives to promote such SDGs as God has given us the grace and as we have been receiving the support. So it is also a aims and objective for to maintain partnership and collaboration with the government or other organizations with similar aims and objectives, visions or missions anywhere in the world, wherever we find ourselves. We maintain our partnerships with other organizations and the government. Part of our aims and objectives, we mobilize trainings. Just like this workshop is part of our aims and objectives. We mobilize trainings for individuals or corporate organizations on peace education, fundamental human rights, volunteerism, humanitarianism, and sustainable development goals, at least for them to get trained, for them to understand more about the SDG. Then the other 5 parts, from 6 to 10 here, we have to manage, mediate, and resolve conflicts for individuals, institutions, and other corporate bodies. If we have to promote peace truly, it is our duty to also manage, to mediate, and resolve conflicts all over the world. Then it is our duty to recognize, appreciate, and also to award and appoint the distinguished humanitarians and volunteers as our goodwill ambassadors for quality services and contributions to the nation's building and human development. That is, we have distinguished humanitarians all over the world doing their best to make sure there is peace, to make sure people or humanity have their right to all these sustainable development goals and things like that. So it is our duty to appreciate such humanitarians, to award them, and to also appoint them as our distinguished humanitarians wherever they are. And congratulations to those who are volunteering to be our country directors all over the world. It is our duty to appoint such people who are representing us in various countries, to appoint them as our humanitarian goodwill ambassadors. Then number 8, we create humanitarian empowerment and global partnership for development and promote social justice in order to have peace and equity for the eradication of poverty in the society. With this, it helps us to empower people and to get them free from poverty. So also, the number 9 of our aims and objective is to promote fundamental freedom, gender equality, and human rights oriented in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and African Union Agenda 2063. Then the last is to advocate for climate change, social justice, and human rights for eradication of environmental and health inequality in the society. I want to quickly say this. We have 10 aims and objectives, and all these 10 are to promote peace and equity. Because if you don't have good health, How will you be peaceful to yourself, even to the community? If you have good orientation about what you are called to do as an NGO manager or in a humanitarian, what will you be able to do? Then we quickly talk about the membership of WOP. WOP membership is open internationally to professionals, the professional humanitarians, freelance humanitarians, volunteers in the field of humanitarianism, and other interested individuals, those that have not been to humanitarian programs, and organizations or institutions who are directly or indirectly involved in humanitarian programs. There's open doors for every one of you to become a member. Then the board membership categories, we have governing council. The governing council comprises of the board of trustees of the organizations and the advisory board member, headed by the trustee chair. And by the grace of God, we are having with us here the international board chair, and that is His Excellency Ambassador Andrew Williams Jr. And we're having the executive board members. This category is continental heads. When we talk about Africa, Asia, Atlantic, North America, South America, Europe, Australia, we have them as the vice president and the director general for each continent. We also have honorary board membership. This goes to zonal areas of those regions. Then we have management board members. These are the country directors. We have regional board, we have state board and area, which has to do with the community. This is the organogram for the organization from the governing council to the volunteerism. And this is our volunteering policy. WOP has the following as a principle in a volunteering policy. Number one, volunteerism as service to humanity. When you are coming in for volunteering, you should understand that you have to volunteer for humanity, helping others. Then, volunteerism with respect to culture, religion, and government. You have to respect other people's culture. You have to respect other people's religion, and you have to respect the government if you are working as a volunteer. Volunteerism based on passion. You have to have the passion for the job as a volunteer. Then volunteerism for no financial reward. If you are coming in as a volunteer, you will not be expected to be paid or to get paid or have been looking over for greater commission, because you are there to volunteer, to do your part as a volunteer to help others. And that is how it is. Volunteerism based on individuals' free will. It is not by force. If you are volunteering based on individuals' free will. It is a free will. It might be your time. You may have time for us. It might be your treasure. You might help with treasure. It might be vehicles, house, whatever, giving us office. However, you may want to volunteer. And you can volunteer with your treasure, how you have to do. You might not have time coming for meeting, doing this or that. The treasure might be money to sponsor the programs. It might be your time. So it's not by force. It depends on you if you are volunteering to work. We have just talked about 3 T's now: the time, the treasure of what you want to give us. Then we quickly talk about capacity statement. We work with partners, the national and international humanitarian organization, to foster peace, justice, and fundamental human rights in the world, to create management team to work in various localities, communities, and countries. Also giving the members or experts on pro bono. If you're a lawyer, you are welcome. If you're a police officer, you are welcome. If you are a media person, you are welcome. Whatever professional you are having, you are welcome. You have been given the grace to work as a pro bono. pro bono with the organization. Volunteers as well as social staffs from all walks of life, the fundamental freedom to work in their various localities with team spirit to achieve our aims. So wherever you are, you don't need to travel to the United States. You don't need to be here in Africa before you work as humanitarian or work for hope. Wherever you are, you can be an ambassador and work with us. So there are several projects we have just embarked on: clean water for community, school projects for the children in the streets. We call it back to school project. We have been picking them up, taking them back to school, sponsor their school fees, affordable housing for students in teacher institutions. Some students who don't have where to lay their heads. All this is part of projects. And this is coming from Nigeria head office. I want to congratulate everyone that have joined us in today's workshop. I want to say thank you for joining us. And this is now to get back to prominent and distinguished humanitarians, doctors, honorables that have joined us in today's workshop. And to start with, I'm going to start with distinguished Dr. Jill Osma to start with a speech. What do you have for us? What do you want us to learn? We have various organizations here today joining us. We have distinguished ambassadors, humanitarians joining us, and we have all come with our pen and writing materials, because the report has got to us that you have a lot to dish out to us today. So we cannot wait than to hear you. So you first introduce yourself to us. Let's know where you are joining us from, your name, what you have been doing, and what you have for us today. So join me to welcome Dr. Jill Osman Jolly in today's workshop. You are highly welcome, Dr. Jill. You can go ahead, please. You can see them clapping for you.
Thank you very much. What a generous welcome. And I'm very honored to be here. And I'm so impressed with this organization. I have really enjoyed the videos that I've watched and all of the information. And I really hope that I bring value to this conversation. It's my expertise is a little off to the side. So I do encourage people to go ahead and put questions in the chat. And of course, I did put my email in the chat, and I'm happy to continue these conversations outside of this forum as anyone needs. So I wanted to start first by saying I watched the videos from the November of 23 workshop, and I was so motivated. You know, the beautiful thing about your organization and all of your members and speakers is you want to just jump right down and go out and make that change right now. Like, I can do that, and we can all do that. And I love the ambassador role. And the challenge really is sustaining that level of energy when we try to bring in some of our partners who control corporations. And so today, my comments are going to be a little about how to work with that. I mean, you all come to this organization and to your work and to your volunteerism with peace and love and kindness and consideration. And then perhaps you walk into a corporate office and you're faced with an organization who does not prioritize those same values. And it can get heartbreaking and frustrating. And I expect that each and every one of you have faced some of those challenges as you've walked out of meetings where people have been unwilling to join, even in a very small way, to join in that project. So I want to talk today about, first of all, current challenges with corporations, their focus on profits, where they look at the lowest cost, highest revenues. And then one of the ways that we can work with this is the focus on human capital strategy. And I'll go through that human capital strategy concept in a little more depth, and it'll hopefully be clear. And then a couple of the things that were mentioned in November, I want to resurface, and those are transparency and metrics. These are key to success. And then I'm going to cover a couple of companies that just have done a really nice job. And in November, I love the comment in one of the videos that there are 72 companies that got together and created this great fund to go out and help the world. And in my happy mind, I said, that's great, 72 companies, 72 leaders. And in my cynical mind, I said, only 10,000 left to go, you know? And that's the thing. We do have a lot of people who are not there yet. And so it doesn't have to be a big step in the right direction. It just has to be in the right direction. So corporate leaders, I really look at the concept of love, and it drives my, oh, wait, I was supposed to tell you where I'm calling from, aren't I? I am currently in Pennsylvania, but I'm from California. But for some reason, when I started talking about the concept of love, this all popped up. I'm in Pennsylvania because I am newly married to someone who drives a truck. And so when you think about the concept of love, it's one of those things that drives us to do things that are not normally in our regular set of behaviors. And for me, that means flying across the country on a red-eye flight, jumping in a semi-truck, which is why I don't have a really cool background, because basically I'm in the front seat of a semi-truck in Pennsylvania in a snowstorm, nonetheless. So how does that circle back around to corporations? Well, you know, we choose love, right? We choose to see the world with love. And oftentimes on things, and it becomes a barrier to love. And I see this in my own life when I go to say to someone about, oh, you know, we live in a semi-truck in the summer, and you see a reaction, and it's that reaction that we need to understand. When we're in a corporate office, we're asking a company that clearly has a lot of money. They have very fancy offices and fancy plants, and, you know, lots of artwork and all of that gorgeous stuff. And we're asking them to consider joining our cause, right? What we have to realize is what they love is the perception of their success, right? And how do other people view them? And right now, one of the challenges we have is that corporate leaders, CEOs all over the world, the metric that's being used to measure their success is corporate profits. Corporate profits they're on the internet, they're publicized, they're on television, they drive the stock market price. And what makes corporate profits? And it's really interesting because it's keeping your cost as low as possible and generating high revenues. So I'm not going to name any names on this one, but let's say an oil company. An oil company raises prices, and, you know, so now people are struggling to fill cars and buses and whatever modes of transportation. They're struggling with gas prices. I can't afford to drive to work, that kind of thing. And at the same time, the company is declaring and being praised for high revenues, high profits, you know, and I don't even have to tell you any names, and we'll all, if you search for them, we'll all find different companies, because it's not just the oil companies. I mean, right now we have issues with the cost of so many things around the world. And And when we look at the companies who are making high profits, we can look at those companies and say, why are you making such high profits when you could instead look at the issues that your employees are facing? So it brings us to the issue of human capital management and human capital strategy. So decades ago, for pretty much at least a century since the start of the Industrial Revolution here in the United States, the term capital has always been used to address buildings, equipment, manufacturing, robots, trucks, farm machinery, all of these things that you buy, and then they maintain them, they upgrade them. You know, they'll buy computers and then they'll upgrade the computers, and they invest in those things because those make their business. But people were never considered human, or they were never considered capital. Human resource expenses like salary and benefits and healthcare and all of these sort of things were always on a line in the budget over in the finance area. So they were an expense. Capital is an asset, a building, a piece of machinery. These are assets, and they add value. They're counted in the value of the company. On the other hand, humans were expenses, liabilities. They were a negative to the bottom line. And so when you can eliminate more of your humans and more of the human costs, you then it results in higher net profits. So 20 or 30 years ago, there was a change in this, and companies around the world started saying, all right, the human resource people can have a seat at the table while we're having these discussions about what impacts the people in our organization. And that was a great start. And then the whole study of human capital strategy came along. And what we looked at was that if we look at our people as being as valuable as our equipment, we not only hire them, which aligns with acquiring a piece of equipment, we hire them, but also we maintain them. Like we maintain our buildings, we support our employees, we worry about their mental health, their physical health, and then we look at how we upgrade our physical capital. And if we translate that over into human capital, that means we invest in further developing our people. So we give them an opportunity to go to school a little bit, right? It doesn't need to invade on the business goals to develop your employees. You can have training workshops offered during lunch at brown bag, what we call brown bag seminars, where you feed them and they learn something and they go back to work. But over time, if they have chosen to participate in development opportunities, then they are available and qualified for promotions, and they can grow within their organizations. And that filters down because that helps their community, that helps their family. We go back to the look of love in an organization. When we look at a corporation leader, a CEO, we want to help them understand that if they love their employees and really care about them, they will invest in those employees and in those communities in a way that will help the organization. But how do you say to them that it will help the organization? You have to look at metrics. So metrics are fabulous. And I will, at the end of this speech, I will put up a link to a pretty interesting article I found recently. But if you look at the SDGs through the UN, these are goals. And when goals are measured and you measure them over points in time, then you look at the changes, improvement or lack of improvement. And those are really the metrics. So if you're valuing your humans in your organization, metrics that count are things like turnover. right? So if you have a workforce that is steady, that they do not quit their jobs, that is a good measure. It's hopefully that they don't quit their jobs because you're a great company to work for. And we call that an employer of choice. It's a company that everybody goes, oh, I wish I could work for them. Here in the US, in Northern California, people are like, oh, I want to work for Facebook. I want to work for Google. These are great companies to work for. I want to work for Patagonia. I want to work for, companies that do good things in the world, right? That makes them an employer of choice. It helps them not quit their jobs. And it helps them perform well so they also don't get terminated from their jobs. So why does that even benefit a company? Well, when employees leave, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, a company has a period of slowing. So they have to recruit new employees, put out ads, go through interviews and screening and references. And then they bring them in. Now they have to train them. That takes time away from somebody else's work life to train the new person. And then there's about 6 months it takes them to get up to speed in the new job. So when one employee leaves, you have probably 8 months of reduced profitability out of that employee space. So when you can reduce your turnover from, say, 17% to like 5%, that's an enormous increase in productivity on the other side, just because you're keeping your employees. Also, when you're an employer of choice, instead of going out and advertising and recruiting, your inbox is loaded with resumes of people who want to work for you. And so now you save on the recruiting, and they're also the best people. So you can just look at the very best of those applicants and get excellent people because you're looking at the best of a large pool. The interview process is easier. The training process is easier. And you can reduce that 8 months down to maybe 2 months. So now you have a quicker productivity. So this is a key issue with human capital strategy. The next thing on the matrix is transparency. And, it was addressed in your meeting in November, but there's this, I don't know if I want to say great saying in business, but it's what gets measured gets done. And the thing is, with metrics, you can look at things like turnover rates. You can look at things like the percentage of people in a town that are living above or below the poverty level. You can measure minimum and median salaries by bands. So you look at your lower income workers and you say, if you're measuring it, you might see that these, 80% of these people are making a non-living wage. So immediately a company needs to look and say, if we can raise these people to a living wage, we can go out into the public eye and say, here's a metric, living wage. Here's our score. All of our employees make above a living wage. And then they can get those accolades, which is what a lot of CEOs and companies and stakeholders and boards of directors, which is what a lot of them seek, is the accolades. So we need to pivot the view of, we understand corporate profits are important. We get that. But we want you to work harder to be proud of what you're doing so that you can get the same level of accolades and recognition for that. So I'm going to quickly just go through 3 companies that I think are pretty interesting. The first one is Patagonia. So Patagonia is a US-based outdoor clothing and gear company. And it was started by a guy named Yvon Chouinard. If you Google it, he wrote a book called The Responsible Company. He gave a fabulous, 1 hour long speech that I literally have watched in every class with all my students. And one of the things is that he started as a hiker. So he's an outdoorsman and he's all about that. he went to his people went to Italy. I believe it was Italy or Spain, and they went to look at companies for dyeing their fabric for their clothes. And in one area, there's a river, and the river is very polluted, very, very dirty. And all of these companies who dye fabrics are on that river. And they pull in the water, they clean it, they use it, and then they throw the water back in the river. And there was one company lower on the list, lower on the river, and they brought in the dirty water, cleaned it, used it, but then they cleaned it again before they sent it back out into the river. Now, it wasn't going to create the river being clean, but it was going to prevent the river from getting dirtier. And it was their small thing that they could do to know that they were not making it worse. They were making it a little bit better. And part of the issue is going out and finding companies like that who will say to the other dye places, look, if everybody cleans the water before they put it out, by the time the water leaves this industrial zone, it's actually going to be in a lot better shape. So if everyone does a little, more gets achieved. But they also do things like they offer on-site childcare. They promote work-life balance. They have a very committed workforce. It's definitely an employer of choice, and they have such a highly engaged and committed workforce. They rarely have any turnover. When Yvonne stepped down from the company, someone who'd been there forever and really had the mission of the company took over. And they also have a really loyal customer base who are willing to pay higher prices to buy a product from a company that's doing the right thing. And so when you're out there, being great ambassadors to these organizations, one of the side effects of transparency is if you have a metric and it's based on the SDGs and you can turn them around, you can make that number look great, then you share the transparency. Now everybody gets to see what you're doing, and that makes your employees proud, and it also generates new customers who say, I'm going to go there instead. So we have people all the time. I hear stories about, I don't like Amazon. I'm not ever going to buy anything from Amazon. But you know what? They still go to Amazon and they look at the reviews and things, but then they go to the small business and they find the small business who's selling that product, and they buy that product from that small business because the business has more sustainable practices that they can support. So it's not a clear line, all in and all out. Two more quick ones and then I'll be done. Salesforce, which is a corporate leader in customer management software, they dedicate 1% of their product, 1% of their equity, and 1% of employee time to community initiatives. And Ben & Jerry's, who's on the forefront, they were started in corporate responsibility decades ago. They source fair trade ingredients and support local farmers. And they offer living wages and foster what I think is important, which is the culture of respect and dignity. And if you ever look at Ben & Jerry's ice cream containers, you definitely see the love for not just for the ice cream, but for the values of the founders. I'm sorry if I ran long. I get super excited about this stuff and just go crazy.
I know, because you have already taken much time. I know you're getting excited. And as I've said, we have been forewarned that you like captivating every soul that will be listening to you. And we love that. I really appreciate that from you, Dr. Jill. And I think it's this time, maybe we have anyone that may want to quickly ask question from Dr. Jill here. Anyone with a very wonderful question, because he's here to answer the question. Dr. Jill, you will be having a thumb up, say you are so special. And I've been seeing reactions from people that's so lovely. So, Your Excellency, please, can you go go on with your question, please.
Well, thank you so much. And Jill, thank you so much for referencing that event back in November. There were actually 72 companies that were all members of the United Nations Global Compact. It's called the CFO Task Force. So those were 72 of the top companies in the world, representing over 1.5 trillion market cap. But you're absolutely correct. The idea is to get more organizations to participate, and particularly, Jill, all of those companies that you mentioned, I suggest that we could actually encourage them to join the United Nations Global Compact. It is, in fact, the 5 Points Youth Foundation here in Los Angeles, where I'm president, that joined back in December of 2014. But I was grandfathered in by Charles D. Sharp of the Black Emergency Managers Association, who is the one, again, that is responsible for having Justice here with us today. But the amazing thing, Jill, is that I'm going to share my screen briefly here, if I may, to take us over to the United Nations Global Compact webpage. This won't take but just a few moments, so thank you for allowing me this opportunity. But Jill, when you go there, you'll find that the unglobalcompact.org, they actually have a variety of tools and resources that will allow companies, nonprofits, and others to join into a collaborative effort to address the Sustainable Development Goals. And also want to take us back to 2000. That's when the United Nations Millennium Development Goals were launched. So what we're dealing with now for the SDGs is only the second iteration, but the intent was for us to achieve peace on Earth during our lifetime. You mentioned that metrics are important. So there were actually only 40 corporations that decided together to commit themselves to the United Nations Global Compact in 2000. That's now grown to over 24,000 participants around the world. The great news is that civil society has the responsibility to balance and hold accountable these corporations. So this is where your love comes in. And this is as a result of the vision of Kofi Annan. He was the UN General Secretary that launched this. And he had lived experience as an African from being a witness to the ill effects or adverse impacts of corporations from around the world that were mining their the resources in places like Africa, for example, but they used mercury and other chemicals that had an adverse impact on the community. So these groups of 40 decided that they would focus on 4 areas. One was human rights. The second area was labor. The third area is environment. And later they added anti-corruption and transparency, Jill. So I would encourage you to consider, let's you and I work together to encourage those corporations that are doing the right things, take full advantage of the opportunity to have an impact, not just locally, but globally. Thank you.
Well, I come to LA once in a while, so I'm definitely going to look you up.
All right.
Well, thanks to technology, we can always connect whenever you get ready. I'm available.
So thank you so much, His Excellency Andrew Williams. I think we have that wonderful input. And I think Dr. Carey, please, are you here with us, Dr. Carey?
I am here.
Okay, please, you are having 2 to 3 minutes to tell us about yourself and what you've been doing in Africa and around the world for humanity. Please, can we hear you, Dr. Carey?
Wow, 2 to 3 minutes. That's going to be difficult, but okay, I'll give it my best. Thank you for the commercial message.
Okay.
And it's actually quite an honor. Pardon the noise in the background. It's quite an honor to be able to be a part of this group and to contribute in any way possible. You see, I'm trying to get the correct view. You can see I'm at a workplace, but basically we've been involved with life skills, humanitarian programs. I've been involved and a trainer for 44 years. And we have some really wonderful programs and training. Everything we do is free. we've trained now in 40 countries, over 3 million people on life skills. That includes human rights based on the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. That includes drug education. That includes common sense principles, which was for 7 years, we've trained 2 million students on how to make good decisions. Now, we're talking about moral code, a moral code that does not exist in our schools, like how we treat people, no bullying, don't do anything illegal, do not murder. All of these really common sense principles that are trained on our young people promote and help our young people become the future leaders of tomorrow. So we're doing this training weekly. We've been working with many, many governments, ministries of education, but we're doing weekly webinars we're even training school counselors now on how to help those students to deal with drug situations and bullying and human rights violations. People don't know what to do. We're training them, we're providing tools, and we're starting with teachers, religious leaders, community leaders, government. We work with anybody who is in a position to influence thousands and millions by providing tools and resources that allow them to combat these issues, to do something about those problems. Because it's one thing to talk about the problems, but it's another to actually make changes, to do something about it. And our number one way, our group is called the Global Pioneers. We're incorporated in the US as a nonprofit. Our way of doing something about it is to train leaders in those life improvement, community improvement programs. Provide them with tools, books, materials that enable them to do something about the situations that exist, which is basically education. We're educating our young people, we're educating parents, we're educating teachers. During the pandemic, we trained almost 1 million teachers in Nigeria, in Pakistan, in Nepal, in different countries. We're very, very proactive, and our front door is open for any group, any leader to provide them with community improvement programs. We're very proud to say we've been working with Chaplain James and the great Dr. Peter Smith, who have trained over 5,000 chaplains. And to understand how important a chaplain is, and believe me, I really do, these are the people that are in hospitals and military and in the community resolving marriage disputes and all kinds of problems. The Chaplains Network should be popularized and chapters should be set up in every single continent. Therefore, our partnership we're very proud and very happy and very excited to be working together with the International Chaplains Association and Regnum College. Like yourselves and what you're doing, these are cutting edge programs. These are humanity programs that somehow are not in the mainstream and need to be in the mainstream. Schools do not train our young people on morals and common sense. It's up to us to upgrade education. It's up to us to empower our leaders. It's up to us to help our governments govern better. We have great programs. We have great success. Just came back from Sri Lanka working with 3 government agencies. They are just absolutely blown away happy. They asked us to train every doctor in the country because doctors can't communicate very well. We all suffer from stress. We all suffer from life difficulties, from COVID, from different things that are happening. That's why we need life skills. And life skills is missing from universities, from our school system. We're not training our people on life skills, and we're not sending people out of graduating them able to have a successful relationship, be ethical, have a high level of integrity and moral common sense. So this is a great, great job and a great responsibility. But thanks to people like you, we're coming together, uniting, sharing resources. We're able to do a better job. One group cannot do it alone. One organization cannot do it alone. One person cannot do it alone. We must come together. We must support each other. Others are jealous. Others fight each other. Others are talking behind each other's back. That's not us. We support each other and give as much resources to each other that we can. And that makes this group a very, very special group. And my hat's off to you for having the courage to come together and to bring other people in, no matter what race, color, or creed. So my hat's off to you, WOPE, and what you're doing with that organization. Anyway,
thank you so much.
I want to say one more thing.
Dr. Curry.
You're welcome.
Yes,
I want
go ahead.
one last thing.
Go ahead.
We're doing life skills training every week. If anybody's interested, let me know. My information's in the chat room. Tomorrow, every Sunday, we do training. If anybody's interested in some of our community improvement programs, drug education, human rights, etc., let me know. And I'll be very, very happy to help in any way I can. Thank you so much for letting me talk, Chaplain James. And thank you, Andrew, for what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Dr. Curry. Very quickly, Dr. Curry, your book, The Good Choice, you know, it has been in different countries. People have been sharing that or using it. Even from Nigeria here, we've been to some schools that are on using medias and things like that. The soft copy is okay for them, but there are some schools which do not have access to having this soft copy. We need to get hard copies for them. So however you're going to go about it, we need support to get those books printed so we can go with the hard copy to schools to share for these children. So we go to school with hard copy, share with them, so it will be easier for them to open and read because they do not have access to gadgets where they could go and study on their own. I'm talking about the children now to have access to that. So we'll need help on that aspect to allow them access to that, the good choice. That's
so we trained 100,000 students and 10,000 teachers in about 6 weeks in Lagos, Abuja, and in Jos Plateau, and Enugu State. We ran out of books so fast I can't even tell you. Those books cost about 25 cents a piece to print on the low side, and then we pay royalties. So we're basically, if you add cost of gas and getting around, we're paying 50 cents a book. The issue that we ran into, and we printed 3 million books in the last 6 years and distributed them with training. We didn't just give them the book, we trained them. And during the pandemic, we trained nearly 1 million teachers so they could at least deliver the program to the classroom, even if they couldn't get everybody copies. At least these kids are learning how to honor and respect their parents, don't do anything illegal. Those kinds of things, even taking care of their body. Let me just say this real quickly. In order to, you have 10% of all Africa lives in Nigeria. You have a very large population, and most of those kids are schools. And by the way, 1 out of every 4 girls are sexually abused in that country. So there's big issues, and we want to get to that, and we want to educate and help them. The issue is funding to print the books. That's really the issue we ran into in Pakistan. We printed 1 million books in Pakistan. If we don't have regular funding, then it really becomes an issue. And believe me, if I could print those books myself, every person in your country would have a book already, or students.
All right.
So
and that's why we are here, Dr. Curry. That's why we are here, Dr. Curry. And that's the point for the collaboration or networking. So anyone here or some other people that knows some organizations or individuals who can support in printing those books, this is the time we work together to achieve the greater goal we have. Because we have to be able to promote equity here and not equality. Children do not have same access to gadgets where they could study online and things like that, or come together to learn online. There are some children, the local ones in their localities, that they do not even have access to school uniform, books, or things like that. So it is our duty to help them access to all those things. So it is our duty to also come together. However, we have to get funds to make sure all those books are printed, so we'll be able to get to the rural areas where we could have the books shared to them and allow them have access to it. The job has become a global job, and it's also become a thing that we are going to work together in synergy. So it's a clarion call to all humanitarians. It's not just Dr. Carey and organizations. We can come together. Let's see how God will help us, what we're going to do. Like the 10 Foundation from United States, Ambassador Dr. Anita, a few weeks ago, she sent us some money to print some books of hope that we have been taken to schools. And that's how it should be. So we have to help ourselves and to work together and to see how we could make things happen. And that is the clarion call and why we have brought this networking and these workshops together. So we have to appreciate you, Dr. Carey Gerson, for your humanitarianism, the passion, the love you have put together, helping humanity. And that's why we are here, to also work in synergy. So thank you so much, Dr. Carey. I think we'll take it up from here. If anyone still want to be part of this job, this is the time, this is the right time. We can be part of it to support other people's program that we have already laid down for the peace, for the growth, the development of our children. So thank you. Ambassador Dr. Tomeshia, if you are here, please quickly introduce yourself and tell us where you are joining us from and what you have for us in this workshop. Dr. Tomeshia, are you here with us? Okay,
yes.
It's a pleasure meeting you. If you have not smiled, I will have said you should go back to your house. But because you have given that beautiful smile, you can stay. So you're welcome, Dr. Tomeshia.
Hi, greetings. Thank you for the invitation, Chaplain Dr. James Mercy O, and the Honorable Dr. Andrew Williams. I'm honored to speak with you all today. We have had some amazing speakers, and we've all come together, of course, to discuss and collaborate for the world to be better with humanitarianism. And so, as noted, I am the Ambassador Dr. Tamisha Walker from the United States, better known as the godmother to millions, and it resonates deeply with me. The mission of my nonprofit organization, Heart for the Hopeless, where we grow hope from baby bump to first birthday. And we believe that all mothers and infants deserve the right to the basic needs being met of quality health care, medical care, and strong family from the beginning, right? The rights that birth the foundation for the pillars of compassion, benevolence, and unity. That's what we've been talking about. That's what equality is built upon. And so destroying this foundation is sobering facts, things that we've really been facing. Having hundreds of mothers that are passing each day from preventable causes related to pregnancy and childbirth. And then among the many mothers that are lost, we also have infants that are dying each in the first month of life. It's sobering, right? And utterly ridiculous. And it's something that we can change. And so this suffering we see is disproportionately impacting marginalized communities. And as humanitarians, by definition, we are concerned with seeking and promoting human welfare. So all that we've been talking about today and all that we've been hearing today has really helped us to understand and to align with the unity of us working together to make sure that we do things like Heart for the Hopeless does, where we support families facing high-risk pregnancies and those that have infant health complications and maternal mortality. We're really working to provide peer support, medical referrals, home visits, and much more to ensure that mothers have what they need for an educated, supported, and healthy pregnancy, right? So when crisis strikes, as often it does with too many mothers that are in underserved communities, we're there to deliver emotional, practical, and financial support so that no mother across the globe has to endure pregnancy, postpartum, the intensive care unit, or even infant loss journeys alone. So in the past few years, we've had the opportunity and been blessed as a business to connect and also as an NGO with those like Birthing Destiny Maternal Services, WOPE, the DDW Golden Kidney Foundation, and the Titus 10. And so with those and many others, we've been able to expand the offerings of childbirth education, parenting classes, even able to support the chaplaincy that we've talked about earlier with Redmond. So it has been absolutely wonderful to provide that tangible support to people and mothers, including orphans in high-risk situations across the globe. So we hold hands together and celebrate alongside these families to be able to bring their infants home and even to support those that may be grieving to say goodbye. But listen, there's no compassion when we don't have access to compassionate maternal health care. And there's no benevolence when preventable deaths steal babies and mothers from our communities of color at disproportionate rates. And there's not enough unity as long as wealth and race dictate who can raise their children in a safe community and in peace. So I encourage all of us to continue to work together with the mission to help support our families, right? Regardless of where they are, regardless of their economic status, to have the ability to equitably thrive, right? So that we can have a world that sees us really function as humanitarians and encourage them to do the same. So in closing, I just encourage you all to labor with us, right? On this God-given journey of bringing compassion, benevolence, unity together as humanitarians for mothers, fathers, and infants everywhere. I declare today that we'll make a difference and be the difference in action. So I ask you to join us, right? Join us today and help to grow hope. Tag me on social media, on all social media platforms at Tamisha Walker, and declare I am a difference maker so that we can collaborate, whether it's volunteering, leading, or giving as a humanitarian today. Just like we talked about the 3 T's earlier, right? It's how are we going to step forward? How are we going to connect? So there's nothing like getting going today and working together. So let's make sure we do that and stay connected and really build up these organizations. Thank you all again for having me here. Thank you for all that you're doing across the world. And it has been an honor and pleasure to connect, to work, and to build unity as humanitarians across the world.
Thank you, Dr. Tomesha. Thank you so much. I really love that. I want to quickly ask a question. Have you ever met Dr. Jade Osman Jolly before now?
No. No, I haven't.
No. Oh, no. You see what you're missing. And thank God you have met her live today. And that's the joy and this the purpose of being here, networking, collaborating or working together. Dr. Jill, I know you have not met Tomesha before, and this is the first time you're meeting with Tomesha. And it's a great blessing to every one of us meeting ourselves here. And I want the collaboration, the partnerships, and the friendships to continue. Not just here, because we still have much to do. I want to see more synergy working together in humanitarianism, doing things together. I know Tomesha, you have met Simona before now, and it was Simona that told me, please, you must add Tomesha to this program. Let her come and speak as well. Because when you saw your poster, you were asking me. I didn't inform you. It was Simona that said Tomesha should be. So, and that does it. That is why we have together to make things happen. So it's a pleasure having you, Tomesha, being part of this success. So thank you so much. I quickly want to go straight to our chief chaplain. Please, if you are here today, be rest assured that you are going to add your voice to this training. We want to call those that has been in our poster already, that we have already invited as speakers before we go straight to others that are willingly, voluntarily joining us in this program. So over to you, the chief chaplain, Peter Smith from Puerto Rico, United States of America. What do you have to say in this workshop? Introduce yourself and what have you been doing when it comes to humanitarian programs. So thank you, sir, Chief Chaplain.
Thank you very much. And with the young lady that just spoke a little while ago, we have spoken before. She's an honor and a pleasure to always speak with her. She has a very high intellectual that she doesn't want to take credit for, but she is brilliant. And don't underestimate her, James. She will get a hold of a wet noodle and beat the living daylights out of you. So be careful, James. Be careful. She is very powerful. Yes, that's what you're dying for, to be beat with a wet noodle. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon from San Juan, Puerto Rico. I'm Dr. Peter Smith, Chief Chaplain and Chancellor of the Regnum International School of Chaplaincy, and I am also the Senior Vice President of the International Association of Chaplains. I got together with that old man, James, sitting up there with those new glasses on that he has some years back, and we got started. He was telling me that he has a school for teaching students on chaplaincy, and I said, well, I became a chaplain some years back, and I was a vice president of the U.S. Federal Chaplains Association, and I told our president that I'm thinking of hooking up with some guy from Africa, which I don't know from a hole in the wall, to get to be teaching classes in Africa. Well, we've taught a lot of students since then. So besides being the chancellor, I'm the professor. And I have taught thousands of students, adults. But I want to tell you something. There was a person that was in one of my classes that really was trying to pull the wool over my eyes. And I was getting very annoyed at that student. I mean, really annoyed. She would hand me homework assignments of 4 or 5 lines. And I said, the way that she is writing, this woman has got to know more. And I felt that she was playing me for a fool. So I got her aside on WhatsApp and I told her, I says, listen, I have a feeling that you are a lot more intelligent than what you're making out to be. And with the 4 or 5 sentences that you give me in the homework, I'm not going to accept them. I refuse to accept them. I think there is more to you than meets the eye. Well, I was in for one heck of a big surprise. The next homework assignment was 7.5 pages. 7.5 pages. I got a hold of James and said, James, wait a minute. What the heck is going on? I said, you put somebody into the class that knows a heck lot more than what you would do. He said, no, wait, Peter. I know who you're talking about. She's got a master's degree in theology. And I said, you're going to tell me that Tata has got a master's degree in theology? And she's been giving me 4 or 5 lines of homework? James, come on. I could use her as a teacher in the class. But the problem is that in Africa, they were teaching what a chaplain was so differently than the norm all over the world. They were teaching it that a chaplain is only for one religion, and you cannot help anybody else in any other religion. And I says, I can't accept that, James. It's going to be that the chaplains will have to learn that they have to deal with everybody regardless of the color, the race, the nationality, whatever. I don't care. And I'm going to tell you now, James, that you didn't know before. I am Jewish. And as a Jewish man, I'm going to tell you something. I don't care what anybody's religion is. If their blood is red, they can be taught, and we can retrain them and teach them to be chaplains. Well, let me tell you, we've been teaching a couple of thousand chaplains. And let me tell you, I have made it clear to all students in my classes, all students, that I know the rules in Africa. That if you're a woman, you got to play dumb. And if you're a man, you don't want to show how smart you are because you don't want to work too much. And I said, I want everybody to give me their best. And let me tell you something, it's paying off. For the last 6, 7 years, we've been teaching students on Wednesdays and Fridays. And we don't mind giving out the links if you want to come in and sit in our classes. We really don't. We don't mind if people want to go. Why? Because we can't get everybody to pay. And we've got to look for funding for those students that we want to get into class. And let me tell you something. Out of most of the students, 99.7% of the students, whether they can afford or not afford, they get in. But unfortunately, when it comes to graduating, we can't give them a diploma because they haven't paid for anything. And that hurts us. There are people that are taking training that can't pay for it, but they're willing to get online and sit there and turn in their homework. Now, the reality is very important. I'm fighting for 2 organizations, the International Association of Chaplains and Regulum International School of Chaplaincy, because we are trying to help those in Africa. Not only are we in Africa, we're getting ready to go into Santo Domingo, which is an island close to Puerto Rico. We're getting ready to go into Pakistan. We're getting ready to go into some other places that there are people that want to learn. In some cases, they already have training in religion. We just have to readjust them, readjust their computer like I keep readjusting Andrew. But Andrew's one heck of a guy. When you need him, he's there. He shows up. When you need James, he's there. When I need Tanisha and I need her once in a while, I get her, I can find her. If I find the other Anita, I can find Anita. I can find Carol, I can find a few others. We have a gentleman that was, I don't even know whether, I think he may have left, Mr. Kingsley. He's a reverend, one heck of a guy. Because I have been teaching the class all by myself with a little help out of James. But the problem is, James is the president of the university. James is the president of more things than I have underwear for. I mean, he gets around. He goes around and he works. And Andrew is a workaholic. Andrew is a workaholic. I know that. But you see, that doesn't help me fill up with some cash, money. And unfortunately, you can say that in Spanish, which is dinero. You can say it in Hebrew, it's geld. You can say it in the English language, it's money, 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 and money. And, you know, we can't work on thin air. I don't get paid. I don't want to get paid for anything. Why? Because I'm giving back in life. I'm about to post a link in this room. Now, this link is a cheating link. It's a cheating link. This link is about me. It's about me, not James, not the school or anything else. It's about me. And this is how the Big Brothers Association in the United States, it's now called Big Brothers, Big Sisters. If it was not for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, I wouldn't have gotten into the police department. I wouldn't have become a law enforcement officer and then asked by the Uncle Sam to come down to Puerto Rico for 4 years. And 54 years later, this 75-year-old man coming up June 30th is still in Puerto Rico. And I was only supposed to be here for 4 years. But from there, I went up the chain and I became the director of a task force. White-collar crime, fraud, terrorism, and homeland security. I became civic in Puerto Rico, 2 years as the president for the Kiwanis Club in Puerto Rico. I spent almost 28 years as the president of 2 different cities' community police councils. I was the best pipe smoker in Puerto Rico. And I mean, I enjoyed smoking my pipes. As a matter of fact, in the investigative law enforcement field, I was better known as Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes. Because I always smoked my curved pipes, even when I was a cop in New York. I just posted that link. Save that link. Read that link. Because as a little brother, I think it was about time when I went in for the chaplaincy training for myself, that I want to pay back for what I've gotten out of life. I've raised 4 kids. I've got 6 grandkids and 3 great-great-granddaughters. But you know something? We all get so much out of life and we don't give anything back. I'm not asking for anything for me. I'm asking for people that want to learn, and I do believe they have got the knowledge to learn. And when I have told ministers and reverends, okay, ministers and reverends, that the way that they're being a chaplain is no good, I found out that there's one group of chaplains that they have as security guards. They don't pay their people, but the people that are contracting them out as security guards don't even pay them. They keep the money for themselves. A chaplain is not a security guard. I deal with all religions. I deal with Hindus, Pakistanians, Palestinians, and so forth. And I'm Jewish. What should I be dealing with a Palestinian for? I don't care who or what the person is. I have 2 children that are what's considered Puerto Rican Indians, which that means they're dark-skinned, but their hair is finer than my hair on the top of my head. Their hair is silk, and my other 2 kids are white. What can I say? But you know what? I don't care about the color of your skin or your religion. I care about teaching. I put up, these are for you, James, when I get you. I put up with these for a long time. I've carried them for almost 38, almost 40 years. And this is for, oh, Carl, I'll get you. Don't worry, Carl. I'll find you, Carl. I saw you. Put your hands back up, Carl. I'll get you. Come on, Carl. There you go. Good man, Carl. Thank you, sir. The idea is to pay back for what you got out of life. I've gotten enough. I've got 45% of my heart that is still functioning. I got a defibrillator inside. I got titanium in my back. I still got a brain, I got a mind. And we're getting ready to set up in Regnum that we want to start teaching criminology classes and other classes where I have other people that want to come in on. Again, the reality is nobody can do anything without green stamps, or better known as geld or dinero. And yes, I learned how to speak Spanish and read Spanish in Puerto Rico. My Hebrew has gone to the gone, but please, whatever you can do, there's just one thing I want to leave them with, James. Please, just give me 1 second. And humanitarian is an active belief in the value of human life, whereby humans practice benevolent treatment and provide assistance to other humans to reduce suffering and improve the conditions of humanity, moral, artistic, and emotional reasons. Humanity. In our day of life, of what's going on in this world, we need humanity. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. May the force be with you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Amen.
That is coming from
Thank-
Dr. Peter Smith. Thank you. What we have just learned here is this. As humanitarian, chaplain, or whosoever you might be, when you are to help others, do not look into religion. Do not take religion as your priority. What we have to is humanity, saving others' life, irrespective of their religion. As Chief Chaplain have said, the Jewish, training others in chaplaincy. They are Christians, they are Muslims, they are other religions. He never said, because I'm a Jewish, I will not be able to train others. And those he has been helping. He also mentioned his family, that some look like Africans. Will you say he didn't want to have them or want to disown them? No. But what we have to do is to do what we have to do in helping others, saving others' life, or helping them out of poverty or problem they find themselves, irrespective of religion, irrespective of language, irrespective of color, irrespective of race, irrespective of ethnic groups or wherever they are coming from. Our duty is to do a job as humanitarians. We don't want to know the family or wherever or whosoever put them into that situation. All we have to do is to help as little as you can. And that is what's called humanitarian. And that's how it started. You are here to learn this and to go back to do more. You have been doing it, but this is just a workshop to encourage ourselves, to tell us we can do more, can do better than what you have been doing. All you need is encouragement. And this encouragement you are getting from the professionals we have invited into this program. They have been doing this for a very long time, and they are still doing it, and they love doing it. And this is what we encourage you to do as well. Love doing your best for others. So thank you, Chief Chaplain. We really love you, and we appreciate what you have put together to help us. Thank you so much. And now it is time for the Regional Director for the U.S. Institute for Diplomacy and Human Rights. That is no other person than my very good friend. My very good friend.
Thank you so much.
Simona, it is your time, and the floor is open to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Simona Tahiliani, and I am the Regional Director of the San Francisco chapter of the United States Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights. I'm very much appreciate the invitation to this humanitarian workshop. This non-profit organization which I present is based in Washington, D.C. and was founded by international human rights law specialist Isabel Vlado. It is top-rated non-profit organization that extends its reach across 76 countries. It supports education and empower while providing vital resources to unprivileged children through initiatives such as scholarship and school supplies. This organization is also dedicated to making education accessible and affordable, as well as offer different specialized certification, including human rights education, human trafficking prevention, diplomatic protocol and etiquette, and international business and diplomatic protocol. The human rights education certification training equips individuals with the skills to advocate for and protect human rights in their communities. The human trafficking prevention certification prevent and present and help combat trafficking and educate people on detection and prevention strategies, which they help the victim of the trafficking. The diplomatic protocol and etiquette certification cultivates essential skills in effective communication and cultural sensitivities. And last, we have very unique international business and diplomatic protocol certification, which they provide a training that is led by the experienced professionals in Washington, D.C. It's 3 days workshop offering practical insight into global protocols, cross-cultural communication, and help build non-profit organization. Any of those certifications help people and communities to build and present and protect and developing human rights, as well empower, educate, and motivate the young children and communities. I'm very grateful for the chance to be part of this very enriching human rights workshop and meet wonderful people here. I believe that we can and we will motivate, educate, and empower others. And I will continue communicate and work with James on that we will develop program to help the communities as well globally and locally. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Simon, I think you deserve an award for this brief talk you have just done without even hastening up to that your time is up. Thank you so much for keeping to that, and that shows you a disciplined person. Thank you so much. We love you and we really appreciate you. And at this junction, we have all said one of the things we have been doing, and we have really engaged on. I'm supposed to bring in Ambassador Andrew, but I'm not bringing him now because he's still our host. And he has more to say when we have heard from others that are joining us briefly. And I would like to first call Mr. Carl Rudnick. I don't know if he's still here with us. I want to give us 1 minute each. If you hear your voice, I'll just give you 1 minute each, just to introduce yourself. Tell us what you've learned or what you want to add. Your voice, we want to hear your voice too. So, Mr. Carr, please, can you tell us about yourself? It's a pleasure seeing you here. Please, can we hear from you, please?
Thank you very much. I'm a criminology graduate based in South Africa. I'm a humanitarian. I'm a graduate from the US IDHR. I did the consultancy course recently in human relations, human rights. I'm a journalist by profession. I do a lot of editing of books and of postgraduate dissertations. Yeah, so that's me. Thanks for the opportunity to introduce myself.
Yes, what have you learned in this program, Mr. Carl?
I have learned that there is huge needs across the world in terms of resources, particularly financial resources, to get material out to needy folks. I think that stood out for me today. Thank you.
Oh, wow, that's lovely. And thank you so much for your input. We love you and we really appreciate you, Mr. Carl. And I'm having the video of Dr. Adiola Fale here, please. It's a pleasure meeting you. Can you just unmute yourself, tell us about yourself, and tell us what you have learned and your input into this workshop?
Thank you very much. Greetings to all our ambassadors, and specifically, let me say thanks for inviting us, Ambassador Andrew Williams, Jr. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. And to every one of you, I say thank you. I've learned great things. I've learned a lot, but let me quickly tell you that ours is AHIABGA Agricultural Organization in Nigeria. We also believe in empowerment of the youth. We've been doing a lot of things culturally, cultural immersion, language promotion. I'm into translation, and particularly I am in the academics. I'm a professor of culture, orature, and language promotion, and I'm in oral literature and performance studies. The organization has been founded some years back. Specifically, I'd like to also appreciate Dr. Yewande Kwore-Shokenu. She has encouraged us a lot, and I have been translating most of the Yoruba write-ups for her and one of the nominees from Nigeria. So I believe in collaboration because we can't do it all alone. Focus is on the youth, in particular age 7 to 25. That is the prime age where youths need to be encouraged, they need to be empowered. We need to give back to our society culturally, language promotion, and also documenting all we know about our culture. So I don't want to take much of our time. Our website is there, and my email address and the rest of what we do is on our website. We have a series of programs empowering youth, training and language acquisition, cultural immersion, and this is where we believe that we can collaborate with ourselves. What we cannot do, you can do. I've heard a lot about chaplaincy. I've also been trained in this respect. So I like to also even join that group internationally. So to all of you, I want to say thank you. The spirit of oneness, collaborating with each other, promoting that vision of educating the humanity beyond just our immediate territory is all we stand for. So we can learn more from each other. I love you all. Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh,
Very quick, James.
Dr. Fale, thank you so much. That's so wonderful. Thank you so much. You are given just 1 minute. You have spoken for about 3 minutes. And you are still showing that you're a professor because there's no time you will give to professor that we try to manage. He will still be telling you, I have more to say. I have more to say. I have more to say. So thank Dr. Pira, you want to say something?
Yes, I just want to say that I've just been looking over the attendance of this room, and I am completely shocked to find that we have ex-alumni, ex-students that we have taught, and actual students that are in this training for today. I am completely shocked, and even to find my great friend Sunday, our great little guy Sunday, is here as well. So we have some of our students and that were with us before and that are chaplains today and students that are taking training today. That's all I want to say. I'm going to keep quiet.
All right, thank you so much. You have just introduced your friends with Sai to the house that you're having Sunday as your friend. Sunday from Libya. Thank you so much for joining us. And we still have more that are joining us. In case you don't know my methodology of calling people to talk, is people that have been seen on the video. If you turn your video on, that means you are live with us, and I can easily call you to speak because I'm not sure of those people that are looking like as if they are not here, and some of the pictures are smiling, but their cameras are not on. So I'm not sure you are here with us. You might be elsewhere and just try to be here. So that's why I've not been calling you to speak. And thank God you are coming back. Gradually, it is those people we saw their camera on we are going to appreciate call because we know you are alive with us. So thank you for joining us. I can see Samsung from Namibia. Yes, you are live with us now. I can see, yes, Mami Alfred, Chaplain Alfred, Caroline from Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. Chaplain Umaru, thank you for joining us. I can see you and others that are joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. I would like to call His Excellency now, Ambassador Andrew Williams Jr. to uplift us before I will go back to Dr. Jill to round up whatever she has started because she started this. So Ambassador Andrew, please over to you before I call Dr. Jill once again.
Well, thank you, but I did want to take this as an intermission. I do want to show again those people that may not know that you're part of the World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity Global Humanitarian Workshop today, Saturday, 17th of February, 2024. But now I'd like to also ask everyone here to take a group photo. Normally, when we get to the end of our program, a lot of people have already left. So now we're about halfway through, I would think. So I'm going to share the gallery view of our attendees. So if you're able to show your video, now would be that time, and we'll take a group photo. And that way, Pastor James, you can also have an idea of who's actually paying attention.
At least you can turn on your camera now. We want to take group photographs for record purpose. Turn on your camera if you are here with us. If you, I know some that are ugly do hide under the camera, but the beautiful ones are always there to show their camera, showing that yes, I'm beautiful, I'm wonderfully created. So if you are still ugly, you can still hide, but you know you are handsome and beautiful. Yes, you can show your beautiful face. You like this Abosede Unwachi hiding her faces, and she's beautiful. Imagine. So if you are still ugly, please hide your face. You know you are beautiful, wonderfully, handsomely created. Please turn on your camera. This is the time to take a group photographs. And I am not the only one taking it from here. I trust Simona. She'll be taken from my hand, and others that has to take this photograph. Please smile so you won't be confused. If you see your picture, you will not be asking question. Am I the one here, or my younger brother, or my elder sister? So that is why you need to smile to look beautiful. Smile and do not spoil pictures. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all. I can see the wonderful smiles. Justice Jota, you are yet to be here. Emmanuel Hetu, you are yet to be here. So Magdalene, is that Magdalene from Port Harcourt? Is that Magdalene from Port Harcourt? I've not seen your face for once. Please, if you are here, just turn on your camera. This is an evidence of you being part of this program. And if your face does not show, I can say Fumilayo from Libya, our ambassador from Libya. It's a pleasure having you joining us. Thank you so much, everyone participating in this program. I can see my wonderful chaplain as well, Linda Ngozi from, what is it again? Is it Holland?
The Netherlands,
yes.
yeah.
Netherlands, yes, yes. She left me in Nigeria, she ran to Netherlands. No problem. I'm not annoyed. So thank you, everyone. This is wonderful pictures. This is wonderful pictures. Thank you. If you have turned on your camera, and I'll take it over to Ambassador Andrew Williams again to continue before we go back to Dr. Jill.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for participating with this. Again, I'm going to briefly share my screen. Now, to save your data, please turn off your cameras and turn off your microphones so that we can continue with the program today. For those that are here, let's see here. Emmanuel, I'm going to mute you.
Andrew, you muted yourself too. There you go.
I went one step too
far.
So
please, yes.
Thanks, Dr. Jill. This is Andrew Williams, Jr., and I am honored to be the chairperson of the World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity International Advisory Board. And so here today, we are actually being provided this opportunity with the AHIABGA-TV network that's being provided by the New World Network, NWN.TV. You can find us there at AHIABGA.NWN.TV. So this is an opportunity to reach people not just here in the Zoom and not just people here that are sharing us with our Facebook pages, but also we're being streamed live to the AHIABGA-TV network on the AHIABGA channel. So we'd like to ask all of you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's at AHIABGA-TV network. You may also join our mailing list by going to andrewnetworks.com, or you can subscribe free on AHIABGA.NWN.TV. So again, thank you all for being here today. I'm going to take this opportunity, if I may, to also remind you that we do have a special guest, and she introduced herself a little earlier. Her name is Justice, but I was introduced to her through my relationship with the Black Emergency Managers Association, Dr. Charles D. Sharp, and he was able to share with me the fact that she has an amazing offering for the world. And you can find that information in the chat. You can go to justiceshorter.com/seated ground. Let me hide this just a moment here. So perhaps you can all see my screen. That's seated Justice Shorter. And you can go to Justice Shorter/seated ground, where this is an agency devoted to content creation that centers people of color with disabilities. We sow justice and harvest dreams through projects that are imaginative and intersectional. Projects are curated in consideration of community needs, creative capacities, and client requests. I was amazed to find out that this organization has also taken the step to share their work around the world. They produced a publication addressing disaster preparedness around the world. And this entire publication is produced by people of color with disabilities, with their ability to share with the world their handbook. I'm going to focus on section 3, dealing with food justice, because this is an issue that impacts all of us around the world, no matter where we are. And again, I put the link into the chat. You can go to their website to get this information, but I'm just going to read for you, for those that can't see my screen, to make sure you're able to get the full information. This is chapter 3, and it is Food Justice, guided by insights from Washika Torres. The need for food justice, food sovereignty, is born out of crisis. Weather-related disasters can cause food shortages and destroy personal food stocks. Food shortages generally impact multi-marginalized, low-resourced populations the most. A lack of access to proper nutrition or any form of nutrition can significantly alter a person's ability to function and focus. In addition to weather-related disasters, such as war, also contribute to food water shortages. Starvation is an inhumane and cruel form of warfare that weaponizes a population's ability access to food and water. There are also local and state policies around food unrelated to specific disasters that give and restrict people's access to food. These policy decisions can initiate slow onset crisis throughout low-resourced neighborhoods, homes, and families. They can create systems of social separation and resource deprivation. Again, problematic disaster policies are divisive and avoidable. They foster a form of apartheid, food apartheid. The extreme conditions caused by these choices are not natural. In this section, Ashika shares lessons for how to identify and challenge such unjust systems as a means of securing food justice before, during, and after emergencies. She presents us with thought-worthy questions. In this section, think through the following questions as you read, reflect, and prepare for the next disaster. What kind of foods can you eat? What kinds of foods can you store? What is perishable? What is non-perishable? What do you have that's nutritious? And if you don't have storage, what is your capacity? What can you afford to buy in bulk? Do you have a water filter and containers to store water prior to a disaster? Where can you go to access food during a crisis? Can food be delivered to you if needed? Can you deliver food to neighbors or loved ones if needed? Remember, we are descendants of communal and interdependent people. What can we all do for one another? And how can we help one another to get through a crisis together? Lessons for food justice. Consider the following lessons gathered from and inspired by Rashika to help guide future actions related to food justice. Learn from the ancestors. Not just your direct living relatives, but those who came before you. Many crises that are happening now have happened before. Crises related to wind, flooding, heat, snow, ice, fires, or infrastructure are not new. These crises have previously and continue to impact how food moves across communities, cities, states, and countries. Consider the following questions to connect with ancestral wisdom related to survival and communal support. Who came before us, and what did they do when confronted with different types of crises? How did they survive? Who are the local and oral historians and memory keepers in our families, communities, and culture? Are there any local or online archives with material about community lead approaches in your area related to food, water, and waste management? How do we use what we've learned from our ancestors to prepare for future disasters? What are the resources available to you today that were not available in the past? What was available in the past that isn't readily available to you today? Do you have access to resources that are not accessible to those around you? Do others around you have access to resources that aren't readily available to you? How do you participate in the resource sharing of what is needed? She recommends that we examine food distribution, distance, and access. Infrastructure impacts access to food. For example, the lack of infrastructure upkeep, meaning uneven or broken concrete, inconsistent curb cuts, unattached trees of foliage, narrow paths, etc., within many neighborhoods of color, impedes a person's capacity to safely navigate sidewalks. This matters for folks with disabilities who rely on sidewalks to access public transportation to food distribution sites, or when traveling to and from local grocery stores. Review the actions and questions below to help direct your advocacy around food distribution, distance, and access. When applying for that disaster assistance, inquire about distribution processes. Can resources be delivered to folks without transportation? Or will transportation, such as accessible shuttle buses or rideshare vouchers, be provided? Organize with other people in your community to demand that local convenience stores and grocery stores improve accessibilities, meaning ramp installations, wider aisles, personal shoppers, delivery services, curbside pickups, alternatives to self-service checkouts, etc. Publicly ask grocery stores and food programs about services for people with disabilities. If comfortable, ask about assistance for your particular type of disability-related needs. Is the assistance you need readily offered, or do you have to call ahead each time to make arrangements for reasonable accommodations? Is assistance guaranteed, or is help based on day-to-day store capacity levels? Ask local food pantries if they have mobile delivery services. Asset access be clearly advertised so that others with and without disabilities are well aware of the services offered. Get the attention of grocery store owners and managers via social media campaigns or public posts, and spread information about their access barriers as much as possible. As we move to the conclusion, she also shares with us additional ways to advocate for food justice. Advocate across multiple social media platforms. Consistently converse and organize alongside those in your community. Contact local newspapers and media companies. Ask for support from local influencers and media personalities. Write blogs and make posts on public social media pages. Participate in podcast interviews, post about local journalists and or activists. Create plain language summaries with infographics about local food justice issues. Ask your local churches, organizations, and clinics to help print and distribute the summaries. Create flyers and distribute them door to door for folks who may not be computer literate. Food and water deprivation is violence. Depriving people of access to food and water, which are human rights, is a form of violence. We live in a system of false scarcity, which means that people are made to believe that certain resources are scarce when they really are not. We have the capacity within our budgets to help feed people before, during, and after disasters, but different decisions are made with those funds. Within infrastructure fields, people can earn degrees with specializations in various types of infrastructure planning, urban, suburban, rural, and or tribal. Cities and communities are planned out. The problem is that many areas with people of color are planned or zoned in ways that quite literally deprive them of access to clean water, air, food, hospitals, etc. Contrary to the common misperceptions made about scarcity and the need for sacrifice, we live in an era of abundance, an era where we have more homes vacant than homeless people, an era where we have the knowledge and tools to get water and food to needed areas, an era where chain stores can provide countless cheap products but choose not to offer affordable fresh produce, an era where big corporate stores can set up shops, drive small businesses out, and then proceed to relocate to more profitable neighborhoods, effectively abandoning low-resource communities with few or no other local food options. An era where families are compelled or coerced into selling their homes or leaving their communities after disasters, only to have those neighborhoods gentrified by more affluent individuals. An era where those newly gentrified communities are equipped with the very same infrastructure resources related to water and waste management that our people have been advocating for across generations prior to being pushed out. That is violence. Remember, we as a country have more than we need. Take time to assess disaster statements made by government officials that cite scarcity. Ask yourself, is it really that the tools, funding, and resources simply don't exist? Or have they been designated for different communities, priorities, and interests? When demand for better food, water, and waste management are consistently ignored every legislative session by local city council, alderpersons, congressional officials, state senators, and governors, that is an intentional decision. All these choices are expressions of structural violence. What and how we grow matters. Community-based solutions to food injustice are critically important. Community gardens are tried and true solutions that can be found throughout most large cities and suburban neighborhoods. However, these gardens are not truly of and for the community if they don't consider the accessibility needs of disabled community members. Check out the suggestions below for ways to advocate for more accessible community gardens in your area. And we'll end with this series of suggestions. Advocate for garden organizers to check in with community members to inquire about what access needs are present and what type of accommodations will be most appropriate. Request clear paths of travel. Help coordinate donations of weatherized mats and or concrete that can be used to establish clear and safe paths of travel throughout the garden. Advocate for raised beds so that gardeners with certain mobility disabilities aren't prevented from participating. Recommend that garden meetings be held in shaded areas with access to water, snacks, and seatings if needed. Stress the importance of home deliveries during harvest seasons. Identify garden guides who can assist with real-time accommodations. Requests as directed by individuals with disabilities. That is, assistance with lifting heavy items, reading seed packages, locating or using equipment, etc. Discuss with coordinators how the garden can be protected during disasters and how it can provide food for the community throughout disasters. Will someone check the soil and crops for contamination? How will the land be decontaminated? How much food will be distributed or delivered? So, Washika's love message to you. If we remember that we have each other, we will overcome anything together. This sense of togetherness is where our strength lies. Our strength is in our ability to be a community across generations, across time, and across continents. We have the ability to show love, care, and consideration for one another across the diaspora. We can offer assistance, and not only assistance, because consolation and love to one another. That is what will help us survive anything. It has helped us survive in the past. It is helping us to survive everything in the present. And it will continue to help us survive everything in the future, as long as we remember that we're doing it together. When we show up for one another, not just ourselves, we can survive anything. I just want people to know that you can begin to create the world you want to see, even if it's just you and a small group of people. You can and should start creating the world you want to live in and experience. These are words from Washika Torres. Washika Torres is a disability rights activist, scholar, documentarian, and artist from the South Bronx. Her work focuses on food sovereignty, disabled people, and creating equitable media. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to share this information with you. You can find more information in the chat to find out more about Scenic Mountains. Thank you so much. And now, Jill, you're muted.
Yes, yes, because we had a big alarm going off in the back of our little house here. I absolutely loved what you just read to us, Andrew, and I really want to focus on just making sure that everybody knows, first of all, those are not just disaster strategies. How we can help our entrepreneurial strategies we can use at all times. There's a whole corporate structure called social entrepreneurship, and it is designed so that people can do well and do good. For example, how do you, instead of, sort of saying bad things about a retail organization that doesn't provide access for, let's say there's a step and there's no ramp. Instead of doing that, going in and saying to the store owner, I can build a ramp if you can buy the wood. And finding those solutions that go from a win-win. This is my strength and skill. I can organize. What can you bring to the table? And so when we look at our speakers that we heard today, we hear all of these fabulous ideas. I was completely impressed with the issues of dealing with women's mortality in marginalized communities. I do teach an MBA program on social responsibility, and I've had so many students who have designed social venture business plans specifically to address maternal health, infant mortality in the African American community here in the United States. And so I love when people can bring it together and say, I have this weakness, who has a strength? And we do a little discussion in it. It really, we talk about like enterprise facilitation. What do you need? Do you need an idea? Nope, you all have tons of ideas and they're amazing. Do you need someone who can sell the idea? And that's where we go to the social media campaigns we just discussed that Andrew read to us. And then what about managing the money? Oh, we need some help managing the money. And so that's fine. You go out, you find someone who can manage that money. You're not asking them for a full-time commitment. You're asking them to help you with one of the legs on that stool that will create a social venture that brings people's strengths and energy and passion together to make things work. And that's where we go to the corporations around us and say, you don't have to give us money. What we do need from you is a donation of X. You know, can we have your leftover food? Because we, someone was saying they went to a store and the expiration date on this product was the previous day and they can't sell it in the wealthier neighborhood. So they just pack it all up and send it out to the food bank, who can immediately get it out to the families in need. And then the families in need consume it. It's still a very viable product, good, and feeding the people that are healthy or that are hungry. And so I love everything that you just read to us, Andrew. I love everything that I've heard today. I feel so honored and privileged to have been able to participate in this group. I did put my LinkedIn way like 2 hours ago at the top of the chat. So slide up to the LinkedIn. My email address also in the chat. Thank you everyone for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Well, before you leave, please put it in the chat again. We've had people that are coming after you came, but I do want to reach out to you personally because the idea is that we need to maximize our strengths. So my contact information there as well. Let's make this thing work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Andrew. That was so wonderful. And this is just the beginning in the year 2024. This is our first workshops. So we still have a month to come on board. Monthly, by March, we're going to have another. We have it just like that. And that's how we ended the year 2023 with tremendous trainings and programs. Thank you so much. I want to use this medium to know state coordinators that are present here or country directors that are here, because we don't want a situation that one will be appointed to take up a responsibility and is failing in his or her duty. We want to know, please, if you are here and you are representing any state in Nigeria as the coordinator, please can you signify, tell us your name, and we want to be sure you are on the coordinators platform. Any coordinator from any states in Nigeria, please. Do we have anyone here? Because this will be used to issue your certificates. And do not forget, you are still on the job training. Is there anyone? Okay. If we do not have anyone from the state, can we? No, do we have some of our nominees from the other countries? Our country directors. Do we have anyone, please?
Hello, sir.
Hello. Okay.
Dr. Yuande, please go ahead. Dr. Yuande, please go ahead.
Sir. Yes, sir. Regards to the state coordinator, some of them have reached out to me, so they should be able to watch the recording. The country director for Ecuador, Naima Pino. She's unable to be with us. She's just had a baby, and baby is 4 months. So she's been the one translating for Spanish and French. And Yeye Adiola Faleye is here working with them in South America as Yoruba translator. Zion was in this meeting, but he has left. He's going on a road trip. He's been in this meeting since it started. Oluwaseun Lawal, I'm not sure she's still in the meeting, but she was here. The country representative for UK is a lawyer. She's a Bangladesh and UK trained lawyer, unavoidably absent because she's in at work today. Those are the country representatives. However, they have sent their pictures and their flag. The country representative for Malawi is, however, here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yuande. Please, can we hear the representative from Malawi say something? Is he or she here?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Can we hear you, please?
Can you? Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity just to say a few things. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Aquilana here, representing Malawi. I'm the director and to Justice and Protection in Africa, and also the managing director of Aventus and chancellor of Optics Teachers Training Institute. I'm really glad to be part of this a great team. And as you are aware, Malawi is one of the poorest countries. It's coming third of the poorest countries in Africa. In the world.
I think that network is not in support of what you're
I'm really very glad to have a lot today, and I've also to meet other people. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Emmanuel. I'm very happy you made it up to this program, and today you are watching live one of our webinars programs, and here today you are meeting with Chaplain James Mercy Obatumebi, the Chief Executive Officer of World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity, and also the international chair for the advisory board of the organization, His Excellency Andrew Williams Jr. So it's a pleasure meeting you in person today, Dr. Emmanuel. We still get to know more about you, and congratulations that you made it to this program. Others that are not here and others that we're still expecting, there are ways to go about that in issuing their certificate and things like that. So thank you for joining us, Dr. Emmanuel from Malawi. Dr. Yewande, do we still have any country representative here present apart from Dr. Emmanuel?
We are yet to compile a full list. These are some of my recommendations, and
yes,
who have
I know.
taken from me.
I know. What about the country the state coordinators? I thought you said someone.
Yes, as Zion Otima, the state coordinator for Benue State. Here we have somebody here is in Benue State, and he has connected with Zion. Zion had to drive for 1 hour, so I didn't want him connecting and driving, but he was here since we started. Oluwaseun Lawal, the coordinator for Ondo State for WOP, and for International Human Rights Commission for Wales, United Kingdom. So she's serving in 2 offices for Ondo State, Nigeria, and Wales, United Kingdom. She's here in this meeting. I'm not sure she's still here as we speak. Yeye Adeola Faleye, she has a PhD in Yoruba. She's a lecturer at University of Ife, and most importantly, she's here to be appointed as our Director of Language and Culture following the resignation of Prabhu Sharman. I can't see any other person. Please, if you are in this group and you are newly appointed as a country representative, or you would like to represent your country, please write your name and your countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yewande. We just want to be sure they are really representing us here. And I've seen Lindia Ngozi here from Netherlands. She has not filled any form. She has not been on the country representatives platform. She's hiding her face under the canopy of having husband there. No problem. This is the time for anyone who might wish to join World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity. And let me quickly show the screen here to show you a website where you can easily go and register yourself. Once you get to the website, you see the pop-up here as the World Country Directors Application Form. All you have to do is to go there. Please do not, if you're in Nigeria, do not go there and say you want to become country representative, because hope is coming from Nigeria. We have much board of directors in Nigeria. So don't bother yourself. If you are coming from other countries, we are going to make use of the list of this registration from the website. So if you have been one way or the other called a country director and you have not registered, you are still not yet nominated. So best thing for you is to go to our website. If you wish to represent us in any country of the world, just go to our website. You will see the pop-up, just register yourself, and let's start from there. And this is what we have to learn. And I'm having my beautiful friend here, she's trying to represent Congo, and she has already registered herself as one of our goodwill ambassadors. That is Letitia. It's a pleasure. I think I can see you. Do you have something to say? Letitia.
No, I just wanted to say that I'm so glad to be a part of this wonderful organization. And I spoke with Dr. James last week, or maybe the start of this week, and we've already started to put things in place for me to set up the organization within the Congo. I know my accent is British. That's because I am in London at the moment. But yes, I am setting up an organization there for a WOPE, and from there I'll be able to then bring on more organizations, and we'll be able to help the people in a much bigger, broader way. So thank you all for having me. And today I've been sitting here in the background. Unfortunately, I'm one of the people who don't have their camera on. So as Chaplain says, if you're not wonderfully made, no, I'm joking. But no, mine is just because right now there's a lot going on in the background, so there's quite a lot of people walking back and forth, so it will be quite distractive for the video. But yeah, I am glad to be a part of this, and I really look forward to all the amazing, wonderful things we can do together. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Letitia. She's in England, UK. Dr. Yuande, please, you can as well connect with her. Letitia, we have one of our governor council member in UK, and that is Dr. Yuande Honore. She's an honorable ambassador over there, so you can still meet with her.
Okay,
together.
I'm just trying to find her in the list.
Yes, she's in, and Letitia too, she's representing us in Congo, and she has already planning and registering WOP Congo. And Malawi, get ready, WOP Malawi. And that's how it goes. WOP Kenya, WOP Cameroon, WOP Australia, wherever you are. So we want WOP to be everywhere because we are promoting peace and equity. And I've told you, if you wish to be a country director, just go to our website. I've shared the link on the chat, www.w-hope. Please be mindful of that. W-HOPE is very, very important. If you don't put the hyphen, you can meet yourself elsewhere. www.w-hope.org. That is the website for WOP. So get there and register yourself from other countries to represent WOP. And in the States, in Nigeria, we're still looking more for others to join us in this peacemaking journey. So thank you, everyone who has made it possible for us to be here today and being part of the success of this program, the workshop, the first workshop of the year 2024. I want to say thank you. And I want to say special congratulations and thank you to my dear Ambassador Simona. She said to me, just give me the details of the program. Let's make things work. And you can see it working. It has already worked. So thank you so much for the invites, for the support, for being there for us. We appreciate you. On behalf of World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity, and by the power conferred on me as the Chief Executive Officer, the founder, and the president of this honorable organization, we hereby declare you today as the ambassador, Goodwill Ambassador for World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity, for this single-handed thing you have done for us. Bringing Dr. Jill out of our closet.
Just a moment.
Meet up to this program. It's not easy. Out of our tight schedule, yes. So we just have to say thank you.
Before you close, I do want to insert this opportunity to share with you a program that's being developed just for organizations like WOP. And also, Dr. Jill, this speaks to your earlier comment about giving credit where credit is due. There is an organization that was founded in 1972 called Legal Shield. They provide legal services to those people that can't afford an attorney, but they also provide financial planning services, will preparations, etc. My organization, Andrew Networks, has set up a particular program just for those people who are outside of the United States and Canada, who know people in the United States and Canada. So for the World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity, if any of your world coordinators or country coordinators wants to participate with this program, we will pay half of the commissions that are earned from bringing in new Legal Shield members to the organization and the individual. The individual will get $10 and WOP will get $5. This does not add up to a lot of money, perhaps for those here in the United States, but we do have countries like Malawi that are here. We have countries like Benin. We have countries even like Pakistan, where the value of the United States dollar is still strong. So our idea is here to help take advantage of the situation so that those people that are not here in the United States and Canada, but know people or businesses or churches or organizations that are here and can take advantage of this opportunity, we will empower you to empower yourselves. Thank you very much. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Ambassador Andrew. And that's a wonderful input. I think that has been a blessing to every one of you as well. So as I was saying, we have to say thank you to Ambassador, the newest ambassador in town, Simona, for supporting us in this program. We love you, we appreciate you. And everyone participating, Dr. Peter Smith, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Dr. Jill, thank you for joining us. And I want to say this, we don't want this to be the first and the last. So anytime we need your presence, we're still going to send you an invitation to be here because we want to hear your voice at all time. And your contact and your email, I'm going to get that officially from Simona so we can officially get back to you and the certificate of appreciation to you. So thank you everyone for joining us. I remain Chaplain James Mercy Obatumidi, the President for World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity. And I want to say thank you to His Excellency Ambassador Williams Jr. for hosting us. She has been doing this since 2019 during the pandemic, and he has never stopped. At times, if we are weak, he will be the one to say, yes, we have not had a program this month. What about these workshops? And it has always been working for us. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Ambassador Andrew Williams Jr. Unmute yourself, Ambassador Andrew.
Thank you.
Unmute yourself.
Thank you. You can find a replay of today's session on the FOP Facebook page, World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity, as well as on the AHIABGA-TV network. And for those of you whose email I have, I'll send you the YouTube link afterwards. So I want to thank everyone for attending, and we're going to move now to close. And as I did at the beginning, I'm going to again share our gallery view. For anyone that wants to wave goodbye, you've got 30 seconds to do that. We're going to wrap it up today. Thank you so much.
Happy trials to
Love
you.
you all. Thanks for joining
Until
us.
we meet again.
You can unmute yourself now, wave your hands. Just unmute yourself and say thank you.
Until we meet again.
Unmute yourself and show your camera. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, 10, 9,
Thank you.
8,
Thank you.
7, 6, 5,
It's
4,
counting already.
3, 2,
Praise
10,
Bye.
9, 8, 7. Still some coming. 10,
So much.
9, 8,
Great to be
7,
here.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Still more coming.
That's off.
We're gone.